not be reporting illegal.
Only people are getting attacked. The children. They don't understand.
Nothing better.
Accused of being a bad person because you're from the United States.
Hello, you little uneducated American piece of shit. You weren't accused of anything. It was pointed out to you that you voted for a rapist, a racist, and a warmonger. There's why you're crying. Because you're so uneducated that you actually used the flag of the Ivory Coast in your post because you don't know the difference between the Ivory Coast and Ireland. Because the education system in America is as shit as your fucking haircut. And yes, I have no hair. I shouldn't really pass in judgment on people's haircuts, but I would rather have no hair than fucking your hair.
Right, so a bald man just turned "I have no hair" into a weapon and walked away clean. But strip away the delivery. He's pointing at something real. You travel somewhere, get the flag wrong, then act victimized when locals push back. That's not prejudice against you. That's just consequences of not doing 5 minutes of research. The entitlement of showing up anywhere in the world and expecting automatic warmth, that's a very specific kind of confidence. The kind that skips the part where you learn anything about where you actually are. Ireland has centuries of very strong opinions about being misrepresented. You walked straight into that, unarmed.
So anyway, I hope the rest of your time in Ireland is as shit as it has been so far, and maybe you should just fuck off back to MAGA land. Adios, bye-bye.
Waitress served man with MAGA hat sees note on check and bursts into tears. Rosaline Harris worked as a waitress and it was a regular day on her shift when a guy named Jake White walked in wearing a MAGA hat. He sat down on the table where Rosaline covered. People began to look at him and the tensions were high, but Rosaline decided to serve the man. 1 hour goes by, the man finished eating and asked for the check. Rosaline then went to go hand over the check to the man. The man looked at Rosaline, then stared at the check. Rosaline saw that he was taking a long time to leave, but she didn't know what he was doing. It turned out Jason was writing a long note to Rosaline. The note read, "We may come from different cultures and disagree on certain issues." He then went to hand Rosaline the note and complimented her on her beautiful smile. When Rosaline looked at the note, she then saw that the man tipped her $450. She immediately burst into tears because at the time she needed the money. She did not believe that he was going to be so kind. She wanted to thank him, but he had ran out the door.
$450. A kind note. Gone before she could even say thank you. Genuinely, that's a beautiful moment. Credit given. But here's the quiet tragedy underneath it. Why did she burst into tears? Because she needed it that badly. Because one shift's tip could change her week. That desperation, that's the real story. Not the generosity. The conditions that made that generosity feel like a miracle. One good deed inside a broken system doesn't fix the system. It just makes the cracks more visible.
One of the few joys that I have these days is watching the MAGA people finally see everything that we've been saying and that they've been ignoring and seeing them lose their absolute shit. A lot of us have moved past losing our absolute shit because we did it when we found out about Project 2025 and when we saw the trend that it looked like this was just going. We have all been preparing ourselves. Y'all thought y'all were exempt. And now y'all see that y'all not exempt. Y'all thought it was just the coloreds and the fucking homos. And y'all was cool with it. Y'all were fine with it. Now
She's not yelling. She's exhausted. And that distinction matters. Because there's a specific kind of tired that comes from warning people. Watching them ignore you. Watching it happen exactly like you said. And then being asked to drop everything and help. The political science here is uncomfortable but real. Targeted policies never stay targeted. They expand. They always expand. Every authoritarian playbook in history runs the same chapter. First the margins, then the middle, then everyone who looked the other way. The receipts were public, the plans were documented, the warnings were loud, and now the people who said, "Relax, it won't affect me," are affected. That's not karma, that's just how policy works.
y'all are upset. Now y'all are like, oh wait, huh? Y'all losing y'all jobs? White women in federal government losing your jobs because it's supposed to go to white capable men? right? And now y'all all losing y'all mind and y'all protesting and y'all want to do everything and y'all turn into us and you're like, what are we gonna do? What are we supposed to do? I don't know. You know everything, baby. Remember? You know everything. About tariffs, about taxes, about all the shit, right? You know everything. Figure it out. I don't care. I don't care. I don't give a shit. At this point, I am here to protect my people and my community. What the fuck happens to anybody else is none of my fucking business anymore.
The exhaustion is valid, 100% valid. But strategically, full withdrawal is exactly what the other side needs you to do. Division is the design, not the side effect. When communities turn inward and stop building coalitions, the opposition doesn't have to fight anymore. You've already fractured yourselves. Protect your people first, absolutely. But I don't care what happens to anyone else, handed them a free win. The fight doesn't get easier when you fight it smaller.
Us, cool. But if you think I'm gonna stop what I'm doing over here to turn around and help yo ass, when yo ass said, fuck you, eat a dick.
MAGA extremists.
People act like they're trying to flee North Korea. I can't.
Everything is feeling like a threat.
Non-binary.
This is the first time I've come out to him.
You know, it's especially bothersome because there are people on this planet right now who are actually struggling. They can't find food, they don't have shelter, they don't have water, and you're crying about what? What are you crying about? Get a grip. Were they so coddled, so privileged that they never had to experience any kind of struggle? So now it's like, oh no, I can't put lamppost on my passport. I'm so oppressed. These therapists are going along validating the delusions instead of pushing back.
I've got a crazy video to show you. A guy dressed up like Donald Trump caused mayhem in the streets and was arrested for making terroristic threats and bias crimes.
61 years old, drove there twice, wig, hat, full costume, Nazi salutes, outside a donut shop. A donut shop. And what happened? The community showed uppy, lines around the block, kids with handmade signs, sold out by end of day. Intimidation only works when people scatter. The moment a community refuses to scatter, the whole strategy collapses. He came to make one small business feel alone, and accidentally made it a symbol. That's the counter move. Every single time. Don't scatter. Show up louder.
Let's take a look. So here's what happened. There's a donut shop in Matawan, New Jersey called Donuts on Main Street. The owner had a gay pride flag on one side and an American flag on the other. This 61-year-old from Homedale, New Jersey, covered up his face and took down the gay pride flag. One of the employees saw that happening, and the owner came out and confronted him and, grabbed the flag back, and the guy took off in his car. The guy comes back later and is still angry, and he's threatening to burn the donut shop down. And again, there's another confrontation. The owner takes down his plate number, and next thing you know, the guy gets out of his car and he's wearing a Trump wig, a Trump hat, a Make America Great Again hat, and he's doing the Elon Musk Sieg Heil salute nonstop in the middle of the street, blocking traffic. Police found him later, charged him with terroristic threats, bias crimes, etc. And the nice thing about it is it spread on social media, and people lined up around the block today to support the donut shop. Kids brought little pictures they made supporting the store, and they sold all their donuts. Since the election of Trump, there's been a steady rise in bias incidents, notably cases that have to do with sexual orientation. Another thing I've noticed on social media, TikTok and elsewhere, New Jersey is a blue state, and there is now a concerted effort by outsiders to flood the zone with propaganda targeting New Jersey residents, whether it's trying to make the school system look bad, which is one of the best, or to just flood the zone with homophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. We all know what that MAGA universe is, and I just hope we can get together, push back, and take our country back. Thank you for watching. Please share, like, follow. See you in the next video.
The propaganda point he's making here, People need to sit with this longer than they do. Flooding a well-functioning state with targeted disinformation isn't random. It's a blueprint. You can't win on policy where things are actually working, so you manufacture the feeling that things are failing. Erode local trust until people can't tell what's real. New Jersey has objectively strong schools. The metrics exist. But if you can make residents doubt that, you can sell them something worse as a replacement. Before you share a video making your local school or official look incompetent, ask who made it, who's funding it, and what they gain if you stop trusting your own community. Your outrage is a product. Someone is selling it.
Why is it that all the Trumpers are like, you lost, get over it, but then the second you bring up something Trump actually did, or every time Trump does something shady, dangerous, or even flat out illegal, they can't just say, yeah, that's bad. It's, okay, but what about Biden? Biden's not even president anymore. They want me to move on, but they can't even stop talking about the last guy. Every excuse is about someone who is not even in office anymore. They're all move on while still crying about 2020 and blaming Biden for everything, even things happening under Trump. Why do they think they get to say, you lost, get over it, while constantly dodging accountability like it's a dodgeball?
Whataboutism. Textbook, clinical, documented whataboutism. It doesn't need to be relevant, proportional, or even recent. It just needs to redirect fast enough that accountability never lands. And the person who's been out of office for over a year, still getting deployed as a human shield against every current real-world consequence of current real-world decisions. Evaluate leaders by what they did while in office. That's it. That's the whole ask. Apparently, it's controversial.
Now, this lady here is the reason why I have changed my stance on Trump voters who say they regret their votes. Now, she's still standing on business, standing behind her vote. But for the Trump voters who say they regret their vote, are you regretting your vote because you've been put in a bad situation, and as soon as the situation is advantageous to you or you don't feel the pressure, the pinch anymore, you'll go back to your hateful, racist belief? Listen to what she has to say.
The same way I'm feeling. I'm from Illinois, and I feel like the gas prices and the electric bills and the prices of food is just
Cry
so
me a
overwhelming
freaking river.
anymore. Like, I'm wondering if anybody else is feeling like they're drowning and they can't get out. I work overtime, and I cannot get above water.
She's not saying anything about her vote, not in this video,
have no
but
gas
let her
for next
continue.
week. It was either that or get a few groceries to get by. I hit my local food pantries. I'm just wondering if anybody else feels like they're drowning.
One video, she's saying she's drowning, and the next one that's coming up, she's saying, I'm standing on business, and even though I'm drowning, I would vote for him again. If this ain't a cult, I'll pay for it.
So a couple days ago, I did make a video where I was crying because I was having a mental day. I was struggling. Did I vote for Trump? Hell yeah, I did. And will I do it again if he can make things happen in the next 4 years?
She's at a food pantry. She said it herself. Overtime, drowning, can't get above water. And her answer is, I'd do it again. This isn't stubbornness. This is what researchers call sunk cost loyalty. The deeper you're invested in a belief, the more devastating it becomes to abandon it. Because abandoning the vote means confronting everything that came with that vote. The identity, the community, the story she told herself about why it was right. That confrontation is genuinely painful, so the mind protects itself by doubling down instead. She's not stupid. She's not evil. She's human, protecting herself from a truth that would cost her something real to accept. That's the tragedy. Not that she's wrong, that she almost knows it and can't go the rest of the way.
The entire video, but you get the picture. The only thing a voter for Trump does is cry a river when they're in a bad situation, but as soon as they don't feel any pressure, or the laws, the rules, the things that he's doing is not working against them, they go back to their nasty, hateful, racist beliefs. I can't trust you. I'll put you all in the same category from now on.
MAGA is upset. I know, I always say that. But I just figured something out. They get so pissed off when they find out a country singer is against fascism. And they get really, really pissed off. Because they think they're losing their music to wokeness. They think wokeness is taking over their music now, so they're getting so upset. And I love it. I love it. Love it. And if you're not following Brian Andrews, you should.
Speak up because they know that silence helps no one. Fragile patriotism says clap or leave, praise or shut up. Criticism becomes betrayal. That's not strength, that is insecurity. Political scientist Ian Bremmer said it best. One of the things that makes America exceptional is that criticizing your government is patriotic. Try that in Russia or North Korea and see how it goes. The Olympians didn't embarrass America, they embodied it. If your version of patriotism gets offended the moment someone speaks honestly, then what you love isn't freedom, it's control. Now remember, folks, boots are for feet, not to eat.
On the contrary, tons of right-minded Americans are speaking out against MAGA.
I've seen a lot of discontent from the MAGA cultists lately with respect to Olympians and others expressing their own discontent for our country's current path and policies. The MAGA cult, these snow cones of human beings, scream and holler that this is un-American. The truth is, however, that nothing is more American than expressing your objections with your own government's policies. Not only was it the basis for the creation of our country, but the Founding Fathers are quoted over and over and over again about how civil disobedience and protest are necessary expressions of our citizenry. Indeed, this is why we have a free press. The press is the fourth check on our government. Thomas Jefferson said, "I hold it that a little rebellion now and then is a good thing, and as necessary in the political world as storms in the physical." John Hancock, "I glory in publicly avowing my eternal enmity to tyranny." John Adams, "Resistance to sudden violence for the preservation of my person, my limbs, and life, but of my property, is an indisputable right of nature." And Thomas Jefferson again, "Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it." It doesn't make you un-American to object to our president, the Congress, the actions of our government, or its policies. In fact, it's what makes us all Americans.
Jefferson, Adams, Hancock, the actual founding fathers on record in their own words, saying rebellion is necessary, that resistance to power is a right of nature. And the people with those same names on their hats are telling you to sit down and stop criticizing the government. That's not patriotism. That's a loyalty pledge to a person, dressed up as love for a country. Real patriotism argues, protests, criticizes, holds the mirror up even when the reflection is ugly. What they're defending isn't freedom. The founders were extremely clear on the difference. It's right there in the quotes. Read them sometime. They're free.
You know what's un-American? Compliance. Simple compliance in the face of tyranny is the most un-American thing I can possibly imagine.
Because they just can't stand it. As I watch each and every video from people on the right criticizing someone like Hunter Hess or Michaela Schifrin or Amber Glenn and using these false equivalencies, basically stating you hate America because you criticized it, is exactly what fascists love. Fascists love these people. And the reason they love these people is because they are compliant. It's because they will go along.
Hey, once you go on in, I just every message.
So when you're one of the influencers that have pushed the rhetoric, the agenda that it takes to cause people like this woman and others that we've seen on here to reach this psychological state where they're so distraught that they're irrational and illogical with everything, does it bring you joy? If you're one of those influencers that have caused this kind of stuff, does it make you happy when you see these people on here? Make you smile? Seriously, you ought to be held accountable for it. Let me tell you exactly what's going to happen, though, lady. If you meet a man that's a Trump supporter, congratulations. For the first time in your life, possibly, you've just met a real man. This is the kind of guy that's more than likely going to open the doors for you, pull out the chairs, walk out of the elevator first, in the elevator first for danger, walk behind you when you're going up the stairs, in front of you when you're going down the stairs. This is the guy that's going to pay for everything every time you guys go out. All right? He's the guy that's going to watch every exit, entry point, When you go to any restaurant, he's going to make sure he sits with it back against the wall so that he can keep an eye on you. He's the guy that's going to walk in between you and the road, right? For danger's sake. He's going to be the provider. He's going to be the protector. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be a man, right? He's going to be a savage gentleman. That's what you meant. Congratulations. So there really is no fear needed. Now, if anything, enjoy, right? Because you're now with a man, a masculine man. But back to the influencers. Personally, I feel like every one of you should be held accountable for what you've done. This video will probably be removed by TikTok because they're going to say that I accused you of doing something horrible or I made some horrible statement that isn't true. I'm not being accusatory at all. I'm simply pointing out facts. You ought to be a damn shame to yourself because she's actually crying. And if it's staged, well, Oscar goes to you because that's one hell of an acting job.
So the American who went into a bar and said that they hated her because she was American, she uploaded a new story and different story. So to summarize, she went into a Catholic part of the North and said that she was in the UK. That in itself was obviously wrong. She should have done her research. If you're in a Protestant area of the North, you say you're in Northern Ireland. You say you're in the UK. The UK is correct. If you're in a Catholic area of the North, you say you're in Ireland. The Ireland is correct. And then she said, oh, as soon as we went in, we told them we're American. Oh, who did you vote for? Again, ignorance to what our country is. Politics and religion is everything. And if you refused to tell who you voted for, they're automatically going to assume you're voting for Trump. You cannot call yourself a kind human being and vote for Trump. And you voted for him in 2020 as well. Did you vote for him in 2016? Did you vote for him all 3 times?
So here's what today actually was. People living inside contradictions so deep, they've stopped seeing them as contradictions. That's the real crisis. Not left versus right, not policy versus policy. It's the gap between what people say they believe and what they're actually willing to live by. The woman at the food pantry, the tourist with the wrong flag, the man in the costume outside the donut shop, the woman who can't stop blaming the last guy. All of them, in different ways, protecting a story. Stories can change, but only when you decide the truth matters more than being right. That's the question worth sitting with tonight. Like it, share it, subscribe, because we're just getting started. Mind Mirror. See you next time.